You're listening to Legends Library. Now, here's your host, Liisa and Kyle Rawlings.
Hi, everybody. I'm Liisa.
And I'm Kyle.
And you are listening to / watching Legends Library. We are the podcast dedicated to the Legends line of Star Wars books and the expanded universe. Today, we've got a fun episode. We're going to be doing actually one of my favorite Star Wars comics. And we're going to get into that first. But first, we're going to get a little bit of Star Wars news. So we're going to do an update on the con. And Kyle, if you could do an update on...
Oh, yeah. Book 2 was just published through the Discord server as a preview in black and white so people can kind of get an idea of book 1 and 2. Joe is at past the halfway point as far as the final edit run, so we're a few weeks out from everything going to print.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's exciting times.
Yeah.
People seem to be very much enjoying book 1 and book 2. And again, the rest of it's going to be on hold until everything comes out. But we have a couple of fun things coming up as far as that goes too. I'm not going to spoil here, but
okay. Not yet.
Your eyeballs peeled. Not yet, but it's going to be fun. So
awesome.
But yeah, everything's going pretty well.
Great. To update guys on LegendsCon, as of right now, today in recording date, it is 150 days until LegendsCon actually happening September 9th and 10th, Burbank, California, which both of us obviously are going to be there. We have a couple more guests to announce that we didn't announce in the last episode, which one being Randy Stradley. So exciting. I know, right?
Yes.
Randy Stradley, who is basically Dark Horse Comics. And he reached out to us and interested in doing it. Enjoyed our good work that we were putting out so far. You know, how great is that? And our second guest that I'm going to announce is Barbara Hambly. Everyone who, yeah. So, some good Bantam era authors are coming. Exciting. And she may potentially be on a panel that I'm going to be moderating. We have two other guests that I'm just dying. We can't because they haven't been announced yet. And both are people that have been featured. And one of them I've already...
I'm teasing you.
I was going to say, I'm not going to reveal anything, but I'm going to say...
We have had a lot of people on our show, so it's okay, but...
Yeah. Well, they haven't been on the show. We've covered it. But I've got a hard
that's
copy.
A good save.
I've got a hard copy of one of them already basically packed.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah. So stay tuned for that, guys. You can keep a lookout for it on LegendsCon Twitter, on Facebook, as well as I will be posting more information on Legends Discords if you guys want to join up with Legends Discord and chat with us, chat with other Legends fans. So I think that being said, it's time for us to go into our book review. But actually, sorry, one more thing quickly. Don't forget to get your tickets now if you're interested in going to Legends. Early bird prices end May. That will be an increased price. Buy tickets. Do it now. Do it. So, now is a good time to head into our book review. And Kyle, would you like to announce what we will be reviewing?
Yes. I'll be reviewing it from this fun source, Star Wars Infinities.
Yeah.
Yay! And we're doing... Oh, yeah, hold on. Let me keep it up here a little bit. But yeah, we're going to be doing A New Hope. Yes.
I love that.
The Infinities
that
take.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm very proud of this one. It's actually in really good shape. Yeah. Pretty solid.
Where'd you snag that?
And it's actually...
Where'd you snag that one?
This was online. You know, eagle eyes. Just on the hunt. Yeah, Yeah, I got a couple copies of it, but this is the one that I actually got that was just about perfect. So
Okay. Nice.
I'm kind of excited to
Well, I'm doing
see
it
that big
the
part there.
lame way because
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
can't win. But I like the story. You know, it's very different type of story. Like, obviously, a what if scenario. What if the Death Star was never blown up? And that's how basically the premise. The original author that they had slated to do it, Peter David. I don't know if you know this, Kyle, but he is actually the author of Skippy the Jedi Droid. But his kind of idea was to be really and really opposite happen in our beloved Star Wars movies. And he came up with the idea that been sick. He came up with the idea that Leia actually becomes like the Galactic Empire Sith Lord, and her apprentice is Luke, and they become lovers. And Lucasfilm was like, oh, like we know we said you have free reign, but that's a little too far. um, wasn't happy that said no. They hired someone else. I mean, happy they didn't do it. No one the plot line.
Yeah, it was already kind of a theme in the past, huh?
Only because at the time of when they made it, they didn't know that they were going to be this. So, no.
Right.
Like, if people remember
Right.
that.
Yeah, but we all remember that it's pretty weird anyway. You know.
I forgive the writer.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it was probably Lee Brackett.
I thought it would have been a fun play if they actually did do it that way. I mean, how could it be that much more of an Infinity's Tale if that actually happened? Kind of like a good inside joke, but I can see why they wouldn't want to go running with it.
Yeah, a little too far.
Not a fluke. So they're not siblings though, is what you're telling me.
No, they are
In
siblings.
the story. Oh, you probably just said that and I missed it.
Yeah.
Forgive me.
No, they're still siblings, and they become lovers. And,
I'm so sorry.
and that
I was like
the
looking at
point.
the cover here, and I got distracted for a second.
You're
just
like,
teasing.
it's so pretty.
Yeah, and I wasn't really looking down. I was just looking for some excuses.
I don't even
But
know
yeah,
why
okay,
I
I
talk,
gotcha.
Kyle. You even listen.
I do. I do listen. Full intent. You have my undivided
Yeah.
attention.
So the point
And to
was,
all of our fans here, with all of the masses.
yeah. The point was, he was like, let's make them okay with it. They won't know. Like, you hear stuff like that where people discover their act.
Mm.
Thankfully.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of movie plots that I could think of right now that I can't say because it would be spoilers, but
Well, get your book open and we shall start talking about Star Wars Infinity.
yeah.
A 4-issue made up.
Yep.
Basically, again, like I said, the what if Death Star didn't blow up. There also is an Empire Strikes Back Jedi, but I have not read those. So,
Yep.
Infinities New Hope. The script by Chris Warner, pencil Drew Johnson, ink Ray Snyder, colors Dave McCaig, letters Dutro, cover art Tony Harris, colors Chris Light. Special thanks to Lucasfilm. So the comic starts like a long time ago. It does a little bit of the premise, the typical New Hope movie, which we love: war rage, oppressed rebels, empires, darkness. Still, Luke, there's a proud tradition passed on. Get Luke running away in the Death Star, the leap across the alley with Luke and Leia, the fight where destiny fulfilled of Vader and Obi-Wan, of course, destiny holding, and Luke ultimately blowing up the Death Star. Hooray! But alter one event and a new future comes to be. So we're back in the trench, and it's typical, like everyone's being
Uh-huh.
shot at. Vader's like hot on doing. Han comes in, and I love the artwork here. It's like blasted, beautiful, like blue and gold as Falcon comes in, and Han does that typical Yahoo! It's a legendary, yeah. Vader gets knocked off. Luke does the shot.
Yeah.
They're flying away like, hustle up, don't get your tails. They thinking, what's going on? Something's not happening. Nothing's happening. Why is anything happening? And Han does the typical, I've got a bad feeling about this, because Torpedo didn't get sort of the reaction. And therefore, they are a clear target. If you guys remember, this is where that scene in the movie that they are now lined up, blast away the rebel. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's always a good revision for that. It was kind of the stellar moment in the film,
Yeah.
so I think they capitalized.
And then I love this moment where it's like General Jan's O'Donnell, like, you're the future of the rebellion. They're gonna blow us up like now. And she's like, the rebellion has no future. There's a lot about Leia in this comic that I take issue with. I feel like she doesn't fall enough for her what happens. But we'll get more about that and what happens. So Han and Luke are flying. The Han and the Falcon, Luke and the X-Wing. Luke's like, what do? We gotta attack again. Han's like, we just need to get anywhere but here for to be blown to smithereens and save ourselves. Luke's like, we're still rebels. We're still in this fight. Why should we? Then Tarkin has kind of like, ha ha ha. You may fire when ready, and see like the lasers, typical like primary ignition. Everything points up. Love. Then the Falcon, like they're kind of on the other side. Yeah, they can't see all of it yet, but like Luke catches that glimpse of the base being hit, the laser striking, debris going everywhere. Luke's freaking out, but they didn't completely destroy it in that moment.
Nope.
No. So there's like some hope, and he's like, Han, we got to do something. Han's like, no, let's just kind of get clear, but they do take on a bunch of TIEs, because now there's like 40 TIE fighters after. I think at this point, like, they're the only ones really left in terms of pilots. I don't know if Wedge is still limping back to base or if he's been killed.
Yeah, I mean, as far as that's a cool thought. It didn't come to me before, but yeah, they didn't have Wedge yet, so
yeah. So
not at all.
but regardless, the Empire is about to just like destroy everything. This one panel here, Tarkin's like, the rebellion's day of execution has been rescinded. Obliterate. And you have a couple ships that had at this point fled the base, and the typical C-3PO going, "Oh, we're doomed," and Leia's like, "We're not, but brace for impact." And that's, I love the artwork here, the going away, the remnants of the base on the moon of Yavin 4, and that's all that like Luke senses is like they see the aftermath while on the other side of Yavin, the debris field, and now what was hope is gone. Luke's interesting in this because he gets a little like dark sidey takeover a moment or two. What do you think of this part where Han is like, Luke, talk to me, buddy? They murdered them. They murdered Leia. Like it's interesting to use the term murdered. War?
Yeah, that's actually it's pretty noteworthy right there. Takes it very personally.
Very, yeah, and like he zips away from. I'm gonna blow everyone. And attacking these ties. Han's like, "Are you out of your mind?" Like, and the panel here where it's his face and screaming, and the red and blue, and like the ties all around. They're really beautiful. I love how. like, Luke, talk to me. Talk to me. Can you hear me? And somewhere in the background, you hear, like, Luke, hear me, Luke. Of course, that's my bad impression.
That's I like it, Luke. Luke. I'm trying to do your impression of an impression, but all right.
Doesn't always work. Yeah, don't give in to your anger. Save yourself. Your destiny lies elsewhere. So he's kind of giving Luke the permission to leave this moment in time, not on the attack. There is some Jedi wisdom reaching him, saying, "Buddy, get your tail out of there." And Han's like, "Anybody see this crazy kid that's flying around here?" And
the bloodlust of his father.
Exactly. So, and Han's like, "Okay, we got to get out of here. Let's, fires get a little thick." And they head into the debris field. And at this point, Luke's really like, "Oh, this isn't a good idea." The critic, Han's very comical in this. Got a lot of Han one-liners. Definitely like a Han comic.
Yeah.
In terms of like good joke.
That's fair.
So they were like, "Okay, we got to get out of this debris field." And like even Chewie's like, freaking out. And Han's like, "I don't know. What else are we gonna do? Do you have any good ideas? Like, do you want to go up against the Death Star, or should we just fly out of here?" They get clear of the debris. Han gives coordinates, and they jump out of. They just got to go to Light, save their butt, just for them. The two rebels, the two unlikely rebels who only just joined that day, are the only ones left. And then the book, yeah, this one finishes off. What do you think of this last with General Jan Dodana?
Yeah.
And Leia being taken aboard the Death Star.
Yeah, it was awesome. I loved it, Dana, and it's like I thought that it was just cool that we got to see him in the story here.
Yeah.
I remember the first time reading it back when too. I mean, you really didn't know what they were going to come up with, and who was going to get the axe on the cutting room floor. But so I liked the character choices. Roll with it, Dana.
Yeah. Well, then who walks out but Vader and Tarkin waiting? Obviously,
yeah.
Vader's ship didn't have him spinning around for 2 weeks. Princess, yeah, send our hostage. What? Nothing rude to say, Your Highness. And like here, she looks defeated and broken.
Oh yeah.
And I would still think she would have some sort of fight in, but they just got both her planet, and then her cause blown up a couple days ago.
Yeah, she's done.
And he's like, Tarkin's so smug too, and he like grabs her chin and like nothing to rude to say. And Tarkin, you love to hate this guy. It's so cringeworthy that he like smug grabs. What are you gonna do? Nothing. And all you can really do is reflect on how your time is now going to be best serving the Empire. So this kind of gives you a hint of what they're going to do to Leia. And it's not going to be execution, but it's going to be humiliation.
Which is worse.
Yeah, which is worse. I mean, would you rather die or would you rather become a slave? Very tricky subject. I was reading something about the Trojan War and some of the women talking about that. Become slaves to the Greek or die? Part 2. Sorry, my little Greek tangent. So I love the artwork on this cover where it's like Leia in her beautiful white robe with a blue lightsaber, striking at Vader. Again, a hint of what's to come.
Dun, dun, dun.
So we open with the Falcon waiting in space for Luke, because Luke is limping behind. And he's like, yeah, I'm positive, Chewie, I gave him the right coordinates. Almost positive. And then this like poor X-Wing goes like, like farts its way onto the scene. And like it's like smoking and like it's like, where have you been, pal? You stopped to get a bite to eat or something? Again, those one-liners. Chris Warner was clearly a fan of a pod. Yeah.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. And here's where I explain a little kind of key detail we think about later on, where his X-Wing has had it. Like, there's that 5% life support. It's not going to go any further. R2's been hit, so they need to come aboard the Falcon. It's going to ditch the X-Wing. So the X-Wing is no longer even a thing. So Luke goes now aboard the Falcon. And, he's thinking ahead of the future, that there still is a future for the rebels, but reality is no, it's just them. And Luke's like, what are we going to use to destroy this Death Star? And Han's like, what do you mean we? Like, they're like, all we can do at this point is stay alive and stay hidden from the Empire, because like we're wanted people. Let's be real. And he's like, Han's like, what? We gave it our best shot, kid. The rebellion's called off. Everyone's dead. And Luke's like, yeah, everyone's dead. Doesn't make you do something about it? Like, good people died fighting this cause. Ben, the princess. Han's like, I don't want to add my name to that list. Like, I'm Han. I'm retired from this hero business. I can go back to smuggling. And Luke's like, do you think this
very
is
short career?
funny? Yeah, right? And Luke's rage here is like understandable, but it's weird to see Luke raging. And he's like, "You think this is funny?" And Han pushes him like, "Your hands off, buddy." Like, I don't want you to get upset. And he's like, upset, and then tackles Han, and immediately there's like fist fight blowing. Like Han's like, "Are you nuts?" And Luke's like, "I'm not nuts. Are you?" And like, we haven't even started. Lights up his lightsaber. How crazy is this scene? Like,
yeah. I mean, the death's like tipped him to the dark side, right? So it's pretty awesome.
yeah, but like he fell very quickly from we have to do something for the greater good to I'm gonna beat you with a lightsaber.
Yeah. And I mean, I get that though. I get his rage, because it's like, all right, so our entire like movie up until this point, and then everything's just over.
Yeah.
Which was obviously like highly more likely. That's kind of why I like the story too. It's just, I mean, if it wasn't for the miracle and the reason why we had a film, that's most certainly the way it would have happened. Like, he faced the rebellion, right?
But instead of obviously dissecting Han into little pieces, Ben suddenly here, Luke, don't give in to your anger. And Luke's like, oh my gosh, Ben? And this is what's kind of interesting in this, because Han's like, Ben, are you nuts? Like, why are you calling me Ben? Obi-Wan. Only Luke can.
Yeah.
Whatever reason. I always thought anyone could see them. The other bicorporeal being in the room,
The rules on Force Ghosts, I'm not even going to try to tackle those right now.
I mean, are there rules? Like, I don't even.
Look, that's a separate podcast episode.
This happens every episode. We're like, oh, we just need to do a whole like.
Apparently so. Yes.
Yeah.
That's an entire one. I hope that somebody leaves a comment about that in particular.
Yeah.
Let's see him come.
So Ben is like, your training is incomplete. Now is not like you're so vulnerable. Not given to any influence. Don't. you should be going to Dagobah system. But he's still giving him the advice that he would give him later on in fact. And you must find the Master Jedi. Find Yoda. And he fades away. Complete your training, Luke. You're only like I'm gonna do some like Cartman impression. Oh
my gosh.
This show's about just having good laughs
That's
talking
right.
about Star Wars. Mostly me saying silly things.
Get it out. Cartwheels.
Yeah. So Luke, turns off the lightsaber, and the whole time Han is staring at what? Buddy. What just happened?
Exactly.
Han. So I do help out. The panel is just like the Falcon flying in space. Just Dagobah? Like I love that. So the scene now switches and you have Death Star above course. Love artwork. I would print this, put it on my wall. The Coruscant.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, the Coruscant, the jewel of the Empire. What would have been the Republic, now Galactic Empire. And they're triumphantly orbiting, but they have won. And like all the fleets coming in. And of course, one more tribute is that we're going to deliver the prize of war. Leia. Shuttle Tarquinas. Confirmed for its landing, boarded Leia. And Leia's now becoming feisty. Like the initial shock has worn off. She says, like, go to hell to the pilot. He's like, we're welcome, basically. Vader's like, your sense of protocol leaves something to be desired. With the rebellion vanquished, the Emperor's mood is one of magnanimity. And Leia's like, okay. But like, the displays of hypocrisy can be seen right now by like get flags of the Empire logo kind of everywhere, but it's like all this huge such a vulgar display of oppression, corruption suits the Emperor well. Vader's like, I'm certain the Emperor will be interested to hear your views, Princess. The typical kind assurance that you're in trouble. Isn't this awesome? The scene where like the shuttle finally the Imperial residence, aka former Jedi Council Hall, and like he meets her for the first time up that tower.
Yeah, it was a nice blend.
Yeah, it's good. I like it.
I'm pulling in a little bit of the prequel stuff, and I always love all that stuff.
Yeah. Prequel love all the way.
Absolutely. I could go into that. I was never one of those people who were against it. So.
I always loved the prequel. That was my first like Star Wars movie was watching. I know I've talked about it, but like, to see Phantom Menace and big screen again would probably like
Yeah. I went to see it when they did the what is it, the re-release of that. Awesome. Remember they didn't redo all of them. They were supposed to do all three and they never did.
Oh. So. Well, I don't know if they did that in Canada, but
yeah, at least in I don't think they ever did it. It was like remember it was like 3D.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Still have a t-shirt.
Nice. So Leia and Vader, they walk in the room and who do they see but Emperor? Come in, please. Alderaan, what a lovely world it is in its day. Ooh, shots fired already. And Leia's like, not so lovely that you didn't hesitate to blow it up and murder everyone. Like, well, what do you know? There's that. Oops, what are we gonna do? Like,
what whatever, he says.
Yeah. And there's some little like back and forth bickering between them, and of course she's like, I foresee you don't have the courage to execute me. Which is interesting that he says I foresee. Like, is she tapping into her force powers and not realizing she's tapping into force powers? Because she's right. They don't plan on executing her again. They plan on her to live a very, very, very long life. Fed, housed, cared for.
First mistake of the Empire.
Yeah.
First mistake.
Yeah. Yeah. But they don't want to just like have her be like dignified. She's gonna be a house pet. And that's what he even says to her. You're gonna be like a family. Cared for. But, you still have to go through some obedience training. So the Red Guards, they take her away, and like Palpsy is like, I sense disturbance within you, apprentice. Like even the fact that like we've won, like what's going on with you? Like, no, master, it's a disturbance of the force. But the source is unclear because they don't know that she's Skywalker. The problem is right beside them. Yeah. But Palps, he actually instructs Vader that you're going to be training her, train her well. A triumph as inevitable as destiny. Well, here we are, Dagobah, garden spot of the galaxy, minus the garden. So now the Falcon has arrived at the destiny that Obi-Wan has sent them, and Han, Luke, and Chewbacca, for the first time together are heading to Dagobah to find the one and only Master Yoda. I love this scene where you get Han coming in, and like we know the movie scene where Luke is crashing through the canopy and obviously ditches it into the swamp, whereas Han here pretty has a smooth landing, and it just shows that Han really is a better pilot out of the two of them. Of course, now R2 is like alive again because remember he got zapped during that battle, and Luke's happy. He's like, I knew they couldn't shut you down, and it's like a cute little reunion between the two of them. They cross the water. They're walking in. They're like, how are we going to find a Jedi in this place? Like, where do we even start? And why are they going to be in a swamp, first of all? And Luke's like, I don't know. Like, you'll find us, I guess. And of course, as soon as he says that, who is it that you wish to find? And Han's like, what the? What? No. Who, perhaps? Yes. Like, looking for someone, are you? Like, all the niceness that we normally get from Empire. Pardon me.
Yeah.
And
No, I love that they're all together. It's definitely it's a lot more fun that he brought his friends.
Yeah. And like Chewie's pretty quiet in this moment. Like you would think that Chewie would be like, yeah, that's Yoda. We've met. So but of course Luke is dismissive of Yoda. It's like, little fellow, we're busy, so move along kind of thing. And R2's even dismissive, and he's like, come help you find your way. Well, and Han's like, look, let's go with him because clearly this guy knows his stuff. And they go to the home. Still Luke has not clued in, of course, as per the movie. And Han, I love this where Han's like, don't you get it? He's playing us, or playing you rather. Like, this guy's Yoda. And he's like, what? Bonks his head. Like, how can you? And he's like, takes a con man to know a con. So, what's your thoughts on Han knowing Yoda?
No, I like the whole thing. I don't know. It was a nice take because, like, it's all of it's just like a countermeasure to like Luke's naivety.
Yeah. Yeah. We get to fill in those gaps with Han's humor, of course. Yoda does agree to train Luke, and he's like, I won't fail you. And then Yoda's like, on the future depends. Now we cut to Coruscant, and here's where the...
It was also funny to like watch them like eating supper in particular because that's like an entire page. Like,
yeah, blowing on the soup and everything.
Everybody sitting around the fire was pretty special.
Yeah. It is cute. It's a very heartwarming moment having all of them, and you just want to hug them, group hug.
Yeah.
But now,
Sorry. Now back to Coruscant.
But now back to Coruscant, where darkness is taking over Princess Leia's life, and
Darkness is brewing.
she's up in this tower. Are we assuming it's the Imperial Palace? I think probably.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Yeah.
For an Infinities tale here, it sounds fine.
Yeah. So Vader walks in, and Leia's just looking out at the cityscape, and he's like, "May I have a moment of your time?" And she's like, "What? Pretend I have a choice?" And he's like, "You have more choices than you know, but I brought you something, princess." And in walks in 3PO, and she's like, "Yay, a friend!" And of course, he's happy to see her, and they embrace, and it's very sweet and everything. And Vader's kind of like watching this scene with kind of an air of like, "I've done good, you know, I've done something for her, but like, why are you helping her? We don't quite know yet." But they send away the droid, and now he's like, "Okay, I brought you this, but I have another gift for you." And this is where the story gets kind of cool. And it's a lightsaber. And she's like, "Ugh, is that the lightsaber you used to murder Obi-Wan Kenobi? Haven't you learned you can't threaten me?" And he's like, "This is Obi-Wan's lightsaber. I'm giving this to you." And the silence and the emotions she goes through, just holding the lightsaber, turning it on. And he's like, "Can't you feel the powers? You know, it's not like a cold blaster, but a living thing, the extension of yourself, and like a spirit, a servant of will." And the tear that comes down her face as she's looking at it. And immediately she strikes at him and strikes again and again and again. And he's just goading her of like, "Release your anger. Your anger makes you powerful." And she's just crying and crying and stops because she knows she can't kill him, which is what she wants. Free herself. He's like, powerful, but not ready. And then this is a really intense moment where she takes the lightsaber, which she had already turned off before, and puts it to her chin and says, "Ready to die." And she's about to commit suicide before he pulls it from her hand. And she's just screaming, "No, like, no, well, like, don't take that from me. This is what I want in this moment." And she falls to the ground, and, you know, he's like, "You felt it, didn't you? A hidden voice breathing strength to your spirit. You have no idea what you can become, Leia." The door opened. This scene is really heavy. To watch her try to commit suicide, being given Obi-Wan's lightsaber, and just knowing like she feels so lost and horrible enough that this is what she feels is her only option.
Yeah, it was a great scene. Finally get to see like Vader start to train her in the dark side. Like, this is a nice revisioning of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, it goes along those lines of like, no, there is another. Like Leia's as what we know, or as far as we know,
and we get
could
to
be
see
as
it.
powerful. Like,
yeah.
So.
I think that's the point.
Exactly. Now back to Dagobah, and of course it's backpack Yoda time. Cue the song. You know, obviously, I'm not going to play the song, but and it's the usual talk of like, you know, beware the dark side, anger, fear, aggression. If once you start down that dark path, forever will it dominate your destiny and consume you. Consume you will, as it did Obi-Wan's apprentice, Vader. And then it cuts to the Falcon, and you know, the typical Falcon like starting up sounds of like, "I know we need a new pressure stabilizer. I knew that 2 months ago when we got here. Like, we can't leave to get one." Like, and Luke kind of does a little cocky Han moment, like, "Need a push? Like, worth a try. We need to talk, pal." That's my Han impression. You know, you guys have caught some impressions I've done this. You know, some little bit of Luke or Obi-Wan and now Han. But Han's determined to leave. He's been there for 2 months, eating Yoda's food for 2 months, which probably has been mostly snakes and garden slugs. He's like, look, we're a pretty good team. You don't have to come, or you don't have to stay here, but you could come with us. Like, why wouldn't we want a Jedi on our side? Hello. Of course, Yoda interjects saying, your destiny is here, apprentice. Throne has your power, but at peace you are not. And then Ben's voice in the background, listen to Yoda, Luke.
Yeah. I like that everybody's kind of around, and it's just like, what's up, Ghost Ben? And it's just, and they're just there, and it's like,
and he's
okay.
even like, yeah.
What's up, Ghost Ben? All right. And yeah.
Yeah, and
the whole
of course,
thing. So that was a cool like niche before it kind of cuts to Leia.
Yeah. Well, and then of course Han does the whole like, who does he keep talking to? Because he doesn't see Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Which is
it would be
funny.
a great poster though. I would buy that poster of the four of them because like Obi's just standing there like,
What's up, guys? Yeah. Hello there.
Yeah.
And he offers the advice of like, you're at the same crossroad that Vader reached. Choose as he did, and his fate will be yours. Like, you need patience. And
I'm glad they didn't change that. You notice like it's in both.
Well, it's good advice.
Yeah. I'm glad they didn't change the same idea as far as just like, even in here, it was just like, you're not supposed to leave, Luke.
Yeah, exactly. But in the end, Luke does turn down Han, and Han's like, all right, well, hit me up if you ever need me, kind of thing. And of course, Luke's like, yeah, I'll call you. we'll see each other eventually. And Han's like, may the force be with you. Can't believe I said that. It has this little like smug face.
Yeah.
Off takes the Falcon, heading to who knows where. Some dark, dank hole in the galaxy. And I like this shot here, or like these two panels where it has Luke kind of watching the Falcon disappearing off into the distance, into the sky. And Yoda saying, but many more such battles there to come. And whereas the next panel, it's 3PO saying, such a lovely day. And Leia's kind of in the same position standing and just looking at her future as well, which is not much. 3PO does say,
both staring at the sky.
Yeah, exactly. 3PO's like, the Empire is treating you well, considering the circumstances. I suppose so. Of course, Vader shows up at this moment, and 3PO is, like, oh, Vader, yay! Like, someone to talk to, and...
Yeah. And he tries to recruit her.
Yeah. Yeah, this is very interesting.
The Emperor's dying. That kind of cliche, like, join with me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting he reveals to her that the Emperor is dying.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was just like, what? Like, I get it. And it makes you wonder what would have happened if, like, him and Luke actually did... I'm sorry, Luke.
Yeah.
Actually did join forces.
The one thing is, we don't know what he's dying from.
But I don't know if it would have been so quick like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, that's why it's Infinities. Proceed.
Yeah. Well, I like this one line when he first shows up, and she's like, don't worry, I won't jump. And he's like, the security field wouldn't allow it. So, like, she's truly trapped in this building. Even though she's in this beautiful, like, gardenscape with roses and a fountain, and she's like, it's still a torture for her. But when he tells her that the Emperor's dying, he's kind of offering her, like, again, this whole idea of choice. Like, is this manipulation from the Emperor, or is this manipulation from him? Like, this is where I'm not sure. What do you think about that kind of idea? Like, is that something the Emperor fed to Vader in order to turn it to the dark side, or is it something that Vader is trying to get her to join him?
You never really know with them chickies head. It's like, is that a trick question in itself that you asked me? Like,
oh, is it? Or
I know, right? Because it's just like, that's how you have to think, though. Because it's just like, well, all right, apprentice, like, manipulate her starting now.
Yeah, exactly. Who's
Who
the
knows?
master manipulator in this moment? Because we know that
Exactly.
Vader wants to take down Palpatine, but maybe not at this moment because he doesn't know about Luke. Like, once he knows about Luke, he's for sure all about, like, killing Palpatine. Oh,
Timing is everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And once again, he closes with just telling her that, more choices. Yeah,
Yeah.
more choices than you know.
Exactly. And just like, and it's thoughtful the way he talks to her. He's putting his hand on her
Mhm.
shoulder in like a kind gesture. And even like the image itself just being like reflecting in the fountain, like it's kind of like a peaceful moment, but it's like it's pure darkness in
Yep.
the tranquility of water. Which of course maybe it's like echoing towards Luke because now it cuts back to Dagobah and he's like, there's something not right. I feel cold, death. And Yoda's like, that place is strong with the dark side of the Force. A domain of evil it is. Why would you live on a world that has a domain of evil?
To hide.
True.
To hide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. They wouldn't look for him there.
Yeah.
In you must
Hidden
go.
in plain sight. You know.
It really is the
So
best
to speak.
advice. Yeah. I mean, unless you are hiding on Coruscant and you look like Yoda.
Yeah, touche. That'd probably not be good.
Yeah. So
Mm.
here's interesting. It's still the same as an Empire Strikes Back. Like, your weapons, you will not need them. And Luke, of course, still takes his weapon and still comes up against Vader and lights his lightsaber and fights and duels and beheads.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not Luke's face that he sees. Do you want to? Whose face is it? Let's reveal. I'll let you reveal.
Yeah, it's of course Leia's.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was a nice little twist.
Which is, foreshadowing. And of course, that's the end of issue number 2. So, Infinities New Hope 3 of 4. I like the cover art on this one. I like generally all the art in this comic. I mean,
Yeah, it was fun.
I wish it was cleaned up a little bit more and look a little less.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. But
it's that Dark Horse era.
That's true. That is very true. So now we
like gritty and dirt.
Yeah. It's just sometimes I wish there's like the detail was a little bit clearer. Mostly so I could put it as like a foam background. So
it's good though.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know what your phone background is, Kyle. I've had the same phone background image of Darth Vader for the last like 8 years. And let's just say ex-boyfriends really don't like that. They come to terms with it after a while with like, I'll never be the picture of you on my phone. Nope. Sorry.
I forget that humans are that odd to care about that stuff sometimes. It's so strange. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
What can I say?
That's weird.
It's either going to be my cats or Vader, and.
But. Yeah.
So moving on, we are on the world.
So we're.
Yeah, where are we?
Ord Mantell. Yeah, we're on Ord Mantell, and it's like, it's nice that we're here.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't really part of the trilogy, but we did see this, like the IG-88 showdown, Shadows of the Empire, lots of fun stuff, NJO.
Yeah.
But
well,
anyway,
books, Scoundrels.
And we're at some bar with Han and Chewie.
Yeah, some lovely ladies cage dancing, which is typical.
Yeah.
But yeah, all these kind of like alien creatures, kind of callbacks to a certain species, and Han and Chewie are just sitting, and they've got a little like monitor of whatever HoloNet kind of station is playing, of course, like Empire kind of propaganda. And on the 5th anniversary that day happened to be the day that the end of the rebellion. So that battle that we saw, before in the first one, and of course they're celebrating it. So Han's like, has it really been 5 years, Chewie? hope Luke's okay. Like, Luke's been training this whole time. And the imagery, like, it switches back to Coruscant, and there's like this giant parade, and there's like AT-ATs and like all this kind of like
it's badass. Excuse me, it's so badass. Scout troopers flying around.
Yeah. So the celebrations are really underway at this point. Yeah.
They're high up there too.
Yeah, they're way above the AT-ATs.
They're like high altitude. Yeah. I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool.
Why not? They can fly.
Yeah.
But like the point of this is like to celebrate not just like peace and prosperity brought by the Empire, of course, but to christen the formation of the new Imperial Senate. One, of course, we're going to see one of these interesting senators who are now lined up in this panel. And, in the typical Empire uniform, senatorial delegations from across the galaxy have begun to arrive. And you're going to recognize one of them because the delegate's host is the appointed senator from the Imperial throne world, former rebel leader, Leia Organa. And she looks very imbued into the Empire at this point. And it shocks them. Han's immediately like, Leia? And even Chewie's like, ah?
Yeah. Yep.
So.
Yep, and he's got everybody at the bar staring at him.
Yeah.
He definitely pops a gasket.
Yeah.
When he sees that.
Yeah.
They storm out.
Well, hold on. Like, her speech is pretty interesting too, because she's like, as you know, I once led the ill-conceived violent insurrection against the Empire, a rebellion that cost the lives of many beings. Though I may never be able to forgive myself, the Empire has forgiven me. So it's like she's kind of obviously like the propaganda that they pushed on her has worked.
Mm-hmm.
And she's publicly saying, hey, I once was a rebel, but they've forgiven me, so you guys are going to be okay with me too now. And everyone seems to be okay with this because what choice do they have, right? Like like there's no rebels. She was the last publicly living one. But she's like, the Empire's commitment is now about healing as greatly as it was to restoring the order. So the restoring the Senate is the ultimate expression of the Empire's desire to bind the wounds of war. And then, she finishes off with long live the new Empire. And you're right. This is when Han just goes like bad and smashes the monitor and everyone's turning. And he's like, oops.
Yep. Yeah. And when they leave, they're just like immediately spotted.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, no one paid attention to them before.
Like he freaks out and he just goes outside and it's just like, oh crap.
Yeah, he's like, it was a bug. My apologies.
Surrounded.
Like, whoopsies.
Yep.
Yeah. And even this line, if I'm not drunk, that's the smuggler named Solo. Like, like everyone was too drunk to notice until he caused that scene. And who still has a price on his head from Jabba because that never got resolved and Jabba never got killed by Leia. So.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're walking out. They're being followed and they gotta run, and they're being chased by who knows what bounty hunters, and of course immediately draws the attention of the Imperials who start blasting at them too. They steal some cart from some Jawas, and like I love this where they're like kind of, like a mine cart going down the street. Which clearly it has wheels. Like how often do you see wheels? Like never in Star Wars. Crashing right into like 6 stormtroopers in a speeder, but they do make it to the Falcon and get those engines going and blast out of there. And they're happy with like the fun excitement in the moment. But of course, once they get out into space, there's a Star Destroyer. He's like, we gotta prepare to jump to light speed and let's clear this planet. And like.
Yep.
Dozens of ties are coming in, and like they're
It's like it says, "Let's punch it."
Yeah, let's punch it, and then yee-hoo!
Punch out of here.
He's like, well,
and it's cool because, and it's just like he's like, "Let's go back to find Luke."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
to Dagobah.
Oh, that was
Which-
fun, but let's go get Luke now.
Yeah, and this is like my favorite part of the whole series was just like, seeing this Luke,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially when he's this young, because we get that later, but anyway.
Yeah, how he's just like sitting and meditating and floating with little
Mhm.
rocks around him and his dark robes. Yeah, like where did he get the clothes? Thing.
Yeah, he spun them out of like spider wool or something. I'm just kidding.
You never know.
I don't know. Yeah, something.
You can just see Luke with a loom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Funny.
Around here, no clothes. I don't know. You failed, but you got it. So yeah. So Yoda goes on to compliment him as far as like, he's accomplished his anger and his fear, and Luke comes to us here still troubled.
Exactly. He's had vision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they're like, we're gonna go back to the cave, So,
Which is
as far as
interesting. Like, you got to see if you're ready. I like that.
yeah. And this time, I believe he does. He's like take care of it, so he doesn't take weapons this time, and he just goes on his own back to the cave, and where we see who?
But Vader, once again,
Yeah,
and he kind of like
looks great too.
sidestep.
Mm-hmm.
I love
And
this
then
panel. Oh,
yeah, when we get like everybody, we get Maul.
yeah.
Qui-Gon, Padme,
young Obi-Wan,
Shmi, yeah,
young Anakin,
and Palpatine.
Yeah, and Palps is like all as I have foreseen it. Then the typical lines: "You have no idea what you can become, Leia. Long live the Empire. Care for you, Anakin."
All that.
Yeah, all those kind of voices in his head, and he just screams, "No!" and vanishes.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
Excuse me, sir.
everyone just kind of shows up at the cave and like interrupts his big revelation of the entire trilogy. Yeah, or the entire what is it, hexology? Yeah. All the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just Han chilling there.
Yeah, Han chilling there with some snake coming down at him,
Mm-hmm.
who he just suddenly grabs, and he's like, "Oh, this little old snake. He's not bothering anybody." Like,
yeah, very very indie.
The opposite of Indy, of how Indy hates snakes.
No, but but I mean it's like, yeah, you're right. He does hate snakes. I was gonna say,
Snakes. Why does that have to be
it's weird
snakes?
with wild.
Yeah.
I don't know, like Han handling wildlife was weird. Maybe that was the joke that I missed right there. Cause wonder.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So back to like their little dinner party, and Han's like, "Can't believe I came back here." And Luke's, "I knew you'd return one day." And Yoda, "Intertwined your destinies are."
Mm-hmm.
And of course, this is where Han reveals the bomb he's about to drop. There's a reason that he's there. Luke's like, "I figure you didn't come all this way for Yoda's stew. 5 years of eating Yoda's cooking? Ugh."
Yeah, that's gross. Hopefully he found other ways.
Yeah. I'm sure he would have turned vegan at that point, eaten a lot of plants and mushrooms. But he reveals that Leia's alive. But he says, like, somehow I always knew, like, I've always felt her presence. And he's like, "Well, it ain't all good news, kid. She's serving the Empire." And he's like, "That's not possible. What are you talking about? She must not be acting of her own accord." So automatically he's saying that, like, no, she's brainwashed. But we should leave and go get her. And he's like, "I'm concerned about Leia, but like, I'm not walking onto Imperial Throne World. It seems like a really bad idea." And Chewie always being the voice of reason for Han, like, take it easy. Since when did you become suicidal? But Yoda even says, like, "You're not ready for this fight," which shocks Luke. Like, but like I've
Yep.
passed the trials, like I've completed the cave training. Like, go,
Yeah, smart ass grin.
yeah, right. And he's like, go, you must, but you're not ready for the full truth, which he's about to reveal to him. I like this little scene where they walk off together and they talk about them.
Mhm.
And Yoda drops the bomb. If you want to explain what he's saying here.
What with Luke here? Yeah, we're at the point now that all the secrets that like really were kept, they decided to do the opposite with this comic here,
Hmm.
and drops the bomb that Vader. He tells like Luke that Vader's his dad. He says it like he says the line instead that Vader's your father.
Yeah.
um, and basically,
Yeah, he's like, that's not true. That's impossible. Like,
yeah,
still the same line from
yeah,
TSP.
and we really just get down to the point that like, okay, he's like Luke's pissed that he didn't tell him about Leia, and then Obi-Wan like just comes out of nowhere and he's like, hey, about Leia. I couldn't tell anybody. All right. She's her own person. It's just gonna go this way or the other. And I like how it literally just steamrolls. It's this beautiful visage of Obi-Wan Kenobi just steamrolling over Luke's inquiries, and then we just get into like Yoda's explanation. The Vader's getting old.
Yeah.
And it's all a front basically, and he wanted the son, but the daughter will do. And Luke's kind of confused with that, and then he's hanging out with Obi-Wan and Yoda, and they're basically discussing what it is to really be a Jedi. And yeah,
And the Force
and
will
we
be
have
with
our
you. Yeah.
yep,
Always.
and we have Han and Chewie and R2 show up.
Yeah, they're waiting by the Falcon.
Yep, they're ready to go. And Luke then goes with them.
Yeah, but not just Luke. This is when Yoda's like,
And
you owe me a favor for that food you've eaten there, buddy. I think a ride in your vessel would be a fair exchange.
Yep.
Besides, long has it been since I've sat in the Temple of the Jedi. Many fond memories I have of my days on Coruscant. And I love this panel here where it's the Death Star and like this huge fleet surrounding Coruscant.
Yep.
Like, look at those ships. It's just, it's amazing how much ships they've just got stashed up or created.
Yep. And yeah,
and this is what's
Vader and Leia standing proud with it.
Yeah. So this is a really cool kind of thing. It's like a really bittersweet propaganda moment, because they've renamed the newly Christian former Death Star, now Justice Star, and they kind of place it in front of the Coruscant sun in celebration. And everyone's cheering, and again, there's confetti, and they've got fists in the air, like, yeah, Justice Star instead of Death Star. I don't know how you feel about that name, but it's a gross name. Because we all know what it is. It's a planet killer. Kills millions of people. But it's justice, right? Yeah. So Leia and Vader are, of course, admiring it. And he's like, oh, if only the Emperor has been well enough to be here. And she's like, well, it's just as well that he's not. And she's like, but, the new dawn of an era has, so, like, only those who can go forward should be living in it and not Palps. She kind of dismisses herself and leaves the room. And so here's where it's confusing. Like, was Palpatine listening the whole time?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I think he was, and then he was right there, like, listening the entire time.
Yeah.
And clearly, like, watching it. And you can see how, like, Vader, when he talks about her, he just kind of cuts to the next, like, I sense the disturbance. It's just, like, cuts him off.
Yeah.
And, and that pisses off the Emperor. He clearly is then pissed.
Yeah.
And it's just like that. that disturbance is most certainly the Falcon zooming in with Yoda.
And his son,
He's all about looking at the celebration, he says, while looking very inebriated. But yes, it looks great.
yeah,
And then we have like a really nice shot of the fleet where they're like, "This is nuts."
yeah.
Yep.
So and then the whole Falcon. I love that line of like, looking forward to the Emperor's celebration. I am.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we're in the
Yep.
final stretch, the final part 4 of the book. I love again the shots, and the Falcon here is so funny. She's like, "This is nuts!" Like, like, like if we were to
Mhm.
sit here and count every Star Destroyer and Super Destroyer, like they've got a lot of force balls to do this plan, and the plan is awesome.
Mhm.
Like, I love Han's. Like, I
It
used to say,
is.
"Mama didn't raise no dumb kids," but like, look like one slipped through.
Yep.
uh, So back to, of course, like, so they're coming in hot, and
Yep.
Palps has summoned Vader again, and he still reassures him, "I still feel this disturbance of the Force, like, it's growing stronger. I can't divine as
Yeah.
Force Master." And he's like, "Surely you must have sensed the answer by now. I am disappointed. Like, I would hope your faculties would be keener when your son arrives." Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like clearly like the Emperor is in on all of this.
Yeah. Well, I
He
mean,
knows what's going on.
I think that's always
And
been his strength is, like, he knows everything.
yep.
Except for when Luke and Leia where they were hidden. That was his only kind of great failing.
Yeah.
Um, and the plan is, as familiar as the scene is, where the Falcon is going into docking onto the Justice Star, docking bay number 7. Prepare for boarding. And he's like, "This is your
Yep.
plan, going back to the Death Star?" And he's like, "Pretty much." So
Yep.
again, familiar docking bay, and they're like, we're just gonna improvise, but it's a plan that's obviously wild, but somehow it's going to be successful. And you gotta love what Yoda does at the moment. Um, he's like
Yeah.
he's like, "Nearing the end, am I? A teacher long have I been. Remember, Luke. Remember the cave, and do not underestimate Vader or the. But the Force can be your ally, so you can prevail." And Luke sends off
Hmm.
R2 with Yoda,
Yeah.
and we're just like, "Oh
And then
no!"
he just barges in.
Yeah.
No, I'm here to visit.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes, just take me to your
Yeah.
leader, and
Yeah, please.
very politely.
I love that. "Please, thank you for meeting us. I'm most
Yes.
grateful." Like,
Every scene is just him like just
yeah,
moving forward.
yeah, just little old.
All the stormtroopers, everybody around,
Yeah,
he's got business to do
yeah,
or to
and
attend.
yeah. So he's like, "Expect us," Admiral Tarkin does, because guys, remember, Tarkin's still alive at this point. He didn't get blown up. Important business we have, and of course the troopers are all agreeing, and Yoda wisely says the ship is cleared for departure, and they're like, "All right, ship's cleared for departure. Enjoy your stay." I love that line. Enjoy your stay.
Hmm.
Like, uh, and then I like this though, because the stormtrooper on his own volition says, like, "Would you like an escort?" Like, no, I want this to be a surprise. It's a heck of a surprise.
Again, more.
Yeah, it's still like frail, innocent little alien. And
Yep.
then the Falcon blasts off, and Han's immediate like, "Wow, this force stuff's amazing. Let's go to a casino and arch it up." And
Yeah.
it's like,
He's got good feelings. He's got bad feelings.
yeah, he's
Because
got great feelings.
and Luke
Yeah,
Luke like realizes that he's endangering the mission again.
yeah,
So we're kind of tying in a lot of different plots here at this point in the where we're at with this adaptation. Pulling a
exactly.
lot of different things
It's
through.
like they know I'm here, and then that's when Han's like, "Oh,
Hmm.
okay." Not great.
Yeah.
But wisely they say, "Chewie, stay with the Falcon, keep the engines running. We'll be back hopefully." And Luke's like, "We, like, you don't have to do this,
Mhm.
Han." And he's like, "Yeah, well," and he kind of puts his hand on Chewie's shoulder as like an affectionate gesture of like, "Take care of yourself, buddy. Might be our last
Mhm.
moment together." And then Han reminds them, like, I'm still due a reward for rescuing the princess the last time. I thought they had paid him off. So
I mean, yeah, unless he donated it, I think he donated it back, right?
I don't know. Maybe. Well, it
Yeah,
would have been
and then
during battle when he came back, and then he never was able to go back.
meanwhile, like Yoda's just doing his thing and completely just kind of like startles Tarkin, who then he's just like,
yeah, how dare you
mind
enter?
trick,
Like,
a tour of your vessel now,
Yeah.
please, and it's just completely just overtakes Tarkin
yeah.
within four
And like his,
tiny
I
panels.
love how it's drawn there. Like his eyes are just like so golden and just, I got it. You're gonna
Mhm.
baby. The back, of course,
Yeah,
Han and Luke.
sufficient payment for your soul.
Yeah, exactly. The Han and Luke
Yeah,
now,
so it was
they're
a nice little dig for him. No, it was a nice little dig at Tarkin.
yeah.
But
Well,
go on.
I like that Tarkin was so easily fallen. Like he barely got
Mhm.
any like realization of Yoda. He just, how dare you enter? And then
Yeah,
like there's no words Tarkin says. It's just immediate. His brain is under control of Yoda,
yeah,
which is awesome. So Luke and Han are now trying to sneak into the Imperial Palace. Like, okay, they know we're here. They want us here. Like they do.
Mhm.
Well, when do we start doing what they want? If you decide to call us off, I promise I won't tell anyone. Luke's like, it's too late. Lights up his lightsaber. They run inside. We got to find Leia. And who do they come
And
across?
the Imperial Guards, which was freaking great.
Yeah.
Oh, that
I
was
love
awesome.
this. Yeah, we got
It was
company.
awesome. That was awesome.
Yeah, because they all have double lightsabers, and this is like Luke's real first lightsaber fight
Hmm.
against anyone.
Yeah, but he's pretty trained up at this point. 5 years.
Yeah, 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 exactly. And Han's just kind of there in the background with his blaster,
Yeah,
and like they're
yeah, he
doing
saves his
spin
butt.
flips like over Luke's head, and Luke quickly is like he's doing pretty good. Yeah, he like chops the lightsaber in half, um, punches the guy in the face, but Han's blaster gets shanked, like it gets cut. And he's like, I know I need help now.
Yeah, the whole time. But he does save his butt at the end.
Yeah, this scene's awesome so like we got one guy on the ground already, and Luke pulls up that lightsaber and just throws it forward, and then Han ducks, and those two guards just get right in half.
A little bit of a yeah. I
And-
mean, encoder, it's like a universal power, but like it's a dark side technique too.
Yeah. Well, he's in black clothes, and Han's
Yeah,
like,
it's pretty dark
"Gee."
side to like cut people in half, kind of. Anyway,
Well, I mean,
in
saves
that way, it was
Han.
great. It was great though. No, it was awesome. But oh, excuse my language. Oh, you have to throw in some blaster bolts there, maybe. Anyway, yeah.
But,
so we finally get caught up with 3PO
hold
after
on.
the.
There's that one last little moment here where Luke gets kind of thrown backwards, and the last guard has a lightsaber about to go down on Luke, and suddenly Han turns on the lightsaber and goes goes in from behind.
Yeah. Yeah, he helps out.
But yeah, so now those guys are taking care of it. What you're saying with 3PO.
Yeah, it was a little reunion.
Yeah. And they're like, what are you? Like, come. Go get the princess. Let's save her. Hooray. This way, Master Luke.
And then, yeah.
I like the joke here. Han's like, has he shut up since we last saw him?
No.
No, never.
No. And then we have the most interesting run-in.
Yeah.
With Leia. And this was awesome. I mean, the little triumvirate that it's become.
Yes.
Because, I mean, who would have thought that Palpatine would have let it come this far? But obviously it's because it was a trap. So you have, everyone playing their own game here.
Yeah, Luke,
And
I've
a pretty
waited
cool
so long.
lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah, a pretty cool lineup of Luke, Han, and 3PO of all things to approach here.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
And
yeah,
Han's still holding a lightsaber. Like he knows
yeah,
what he's gonna do with it against.
yeah. He looks a little confused, but he's got it.
He's like, all right, I can handle this.
mm,
Like I know I'm up against two Siths, maybe even a third. She's
mhm.
getting there. And then, of course, greetings, young Skywalker. I have waited a long time to meet you. How fitting that you come before us as a Jedi. A pity it shall be for the last time. Destiny has brought you to this moment, Jedi. A destiny I have crafted over many years. And he hands, Vader, or he gets Vader's lightsaber and hands it to Leia. And Leia, like, turns it, so it's like the red on blue, the fight that we've been waiting for. But of course, Luke's like, "You're wasting your breath, Excellency. Nothing you say will ever make me fight my sister." Dun, dun, dun. And of
Mhm.
course, she didn't know. Uh, why would they tell
Yeah,
her?
they flip the iconic line.
Yeah, sister. Yeah, and just her face of like shock, and she's like, "What?" Like she doesn't
Mhm.
know how to handle this information. And he's like, "Search your feelings, Leia. You'll find the truth." And then, of course, Palpatine's like, "Jedi lies. Like he'll stop at nothing to destroy the peace we've built." And then suddenly, surprise, 3PO's not on their side and like grabs Luke or Han and it's like, "Drop your weapon, Captain Solo." Still addresses him as Captain Solo.
Mhm.
So like Han's kind of out of the game at this point, but like really,
Yeah,
would he have been much of a like, a help in
he
that
was
fight?
trying.
He was there for show.
He was trying.
Uh, so you will fight Jedi, or your pirate friend will die. Han's like, "Pirate? Who are you calling?" Like,
Yeah. As he gets escorted.
yeah. He's like, "Don't." So Luke's like, "Don't do this, Leia." Leia's like, "Defend yourself." And all the while in the background, we've kind of neglected one character, which is Vader. And Vader's going, "Wait, I know Luke's my son because Palpatine just told me like half an hour ago that my son was showing up. And
Yeah.
if they're brother and sister, I've been with my daughter this whole time." And, he's getting chastised by Palp's thing. "I'm surprised you could not see it, apprentice. She has the Skywalker fire." Uh, and that's when Luke and Leia start their fight. But that's when
Mhm.
the real fight starts around them, which is now the power surge from the battle station, the Justice Star, which starts
Yeah.
blowing up the fleet. I love these
Yeah. As
images.
Yoda's just walking Tarkin around.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I love the
Like a dog.
speed. Yeah.
Take me here. Oh, and he's just watching everything burn. He's like, oh. Moving along.
Yeah. They're watching out the views, like, the window. He's like, "A most impressive toy, Admiral, intended for this use, was it not?"
Yeah.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
then, like, I love the obvious, like, someone's like, "Tink, tink, tink, tink," like, knocking on the door, being like, "What's going on in there? We're locked out." Like, and again,
Mhm.
Tarkin's just mute this whole time. Exactly like the dog.
Yeah.
And then Yoda's like, "But more of this station capability." Like, and back to Luke and Leia fighting. There's a beautiful kind of image of the two of them, like, close, and, like, the lightsabers meet to the color where just white. Palpatine is like, "Good, good. The survivor will be a great asset." He doesn't care at this point who wins. He just knows that whoever's gonna win will be his new apprentice, right? Uh,
Right.
but of course his cockiness is broken with, like, the screaming of "Your Excellency" in the background, and, like, his face is like, "Ah!" Just shock. Um,
Yep.
and, like, Han and Leia, I love this, like, in front of this whole screen, Luke and Leia are fighting, and all these Imperial guards are screaming in the background, like, "Excellency, shh, disaster, attacking," and then the ship blows. And then repeat, "The Death Star is attacking." I like that they switch back to the Death Star. There's no just
Yeah.
really, it is just. Um, In this panel, I love the shot where, again, all these ships are blowing up, crashing, and they're just like, they don't know what to do. They don't have that time delay problem anymore. That's been fixed, so it can shoot as much as it wants. It's gonna take all that. And
Yep.
Palpatine's like, "Get Admiral Tarkin, do you hear me?" And
He ain't there.
yeah, he's there. He's not gonna do anything. He's looking at Vader again.
And
He's like, "Vader?" Question mark.
yeah,
What's going
and
on?
Luke's taking all of Vader's lines. It's just like,
Yeah.
listen to your feelings, Leia.
What do they tell you? I can feel the conflict
Yeah,
within you.
like a play.
Yeah. There is no. Then she's like, Luke, and that's when she goes, "Wait, Vader's my father." And she turns off the lightsaber, turns and says, "Father?"
Mm-hmm.
And Sidious, you fool. Your feelings have betrayed you and me. I mean, come on. Just put them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I know.
yeah.
And we've gone so far already because now we're in Return of the Jedi kind of spoofing.
Yeah.
In A New Hope, it's pretty cool,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Exactly. So
you know.
Luke's speech is good here. Leia is a Skywalker, like our
Mm-hmm.
father, like the noble line of Jedi, stretching over 1,000 generations. It's over, Emperor. And it's the typical, so be it.
Mm-hmm.
And lightning.
Yeah, lights them up.
Yeah. Because they forgot, like Yoda did say, don't underestimate him. Like,
Yeah,
Yoda at any
and
point say, hey, during the past 5 years, by the way, this guy has like lightning fingers.
yeah, probably not, right? And then 3PO gives us a really big surprise.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
in the midst of all that, 3PO and Vader both
yeah. I love like just how much
in
all this
one
lightning
panel.
is going through all of them. And they're screaming. And Leia is screaming, Father. It's not Luke in that moment, like, Father save me. And Vader
Mm-hmm.
jumps onto Palpatine. And he's like, have you gone mad? And Vader's saying, go, my children, go.
Yeah,
Which is, like, this is where he's redeemed himself, finally.
yeah. And 3PO's in the background with a gun to Han's head.
Yeah, still, yeah. And Han's just like, what kind of family drama am I watching?
Yeah. Stay where you are or I'll kill him.
Yeah.
The glory of the Empire shall not, come on now. That was pretty fun.
At least Han
Before he
doesn't
gets,
have to. Yeah, like Han isn't now thinking though, like, didn't they kiss? Like that didn't happen, so there's no awkwardness there.
no,
So,
no, and they jack up 3PO.
yeah,
And then they still carry him away. He's
yeah.
still one of them.
Well, and I like Han's line, like, "Oh, I get to carry the droid. Why do I have to carry the droid?" And he's like, "Oh, I got the droid," because it's like all these stormtroopers, while like Luke and Leia are just killing everyone.
It's badass to watch them both
Yeah,
have sabers and just tear through everyone.
yeah. I like that. They're both in the black outfits too. They're
Blue and red sabers.
Yeah, they're being the true twins that they should. Back to Palpatine, of course. He's like, "You fool! Did you really think this would change anything?" Who goes onto the screen? But Yoda is saying, "Life is changed, Your Excellency." Like Yoda. Well, you've had a busy day. Don't think your little mission will deter me or this empire. Your pitiful powers are nothing compared to the dark side. And he's like, save your fleet, the dark side did not. What?
Yeah.
That's a good dig. He's like, well,
yeah.
whatever. By now, the Death Star's weapons have been disabled by my troops. It's only a matter of time before you and your young charges are in my custody. Why delay the inevitable? Come down here and face the Jedi. And he's like, coming to see you, I am. Ow. Cue to them outside. So everyone's sprinting now in the city. And Han's calling Chewie like, Chewie, buddy, like, it's getting warm around here, real warm. And as we realize, so what's Yoda's plan? Kyle, if you want to reveal that.
Well, he's kind of just like downing the Death Star into the planet. So when he says he's gonna see you real soon, it's because he's approaching at ridiculous
Yeah.
speeds.
Yeah. He's gonna squish
And
him.
yeah, and they get out of there on the Falcon, and the Emperor is just
Yeah, I
somehow he
love
dies
this.
this early in the story, but he's just he's kerplunked, so to
Yeah.
speak. There's the entire Death Star smashes directly into the
It's
Emperor's
such
vicinity.
an intense panel. I love, the close last shots of the Emperor, of like the glowing approaching Justice Star, and the
Mm-hmm.
last look at his face, and then just the utter destruction that the Death Star does to Force.
Yep.
Because it's a space station. It's not a tiny little thing. Like, Yoda doesn't really care that there's tons of innocent people in there. He just knew that he had to get rid of the Sith one way or another, and he was pretty successful.
Yeah.
You know, it's sad that Anakin obviously died at the same, but he always died in the end. So
Yeah. That was the nice twist to all this, is that it's completely falling in the reverse, right? But
yeah, yeah,
good man. But
yeah. Well, and no one can deny that like the rebels blew up the Death Star now.
nope.
Yeah.
There is no denial now.
So
Nope.
I like Han's line here. He's like, "Man, that's some light show," and Luke just says a little kind of silent nod in the background of "The Force will be with you, Master, always."
Mhm.
And then the last kind of panel here, or last page rather. I think this is Naboo. Feel like it is Naboo just by the architecture.
I think so.
Yeah. So now many difficult years have passed since the fall of the Empire. Years of sacrifice, pain, and healing. And there's a celebration. So again, confetti and people watching. There still is some sort of like arm guard. It is what it is. And Leia's on the steps saying, I am humbled by this honor you have bestowed upon me. As Chancellor of the New Republic, I hope to return your trust, same commitment you have always shown to bring peace and justice to the galaxy. And then I like Han's line here. He's got so many good lines in this book. Luke, did you frisk
Yeah.
3PO before the ceremony? He's like, please, Captain
Yeah.
Solo. You were well aware the Emperor's awful programs have purged from my system.
I love that. It was another play on the prequels, when he was
Yeah.
just like, die, Jedi dogs, I think that's what it was it was great.
Yeah. But he does, of course, lament, I wish R2 was here. And then, of course, beep, boop, boop, you mean that R2?
Yeah.
And they're like, R2 how? He's like, we copied his memories onto the Falcon computer before he went with Yoda. He's complaining about their body. So that's nice. I mean, it's R2 part 2. So.
Yeah.
And then the final...
I'll buy it.
Yeah. I mean... and the final panel here is really kind of lovely, where Luke points over to the side, and both him and Leia look over, and they see Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Anakin as their Force ghosts, smiling.
Yeah.
Because there's now peace in the galaxy. The end. Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
Oh, sweet.
What a sweet ending.
Mhm.
There was a lot of ups and downs, lots of heart pains in this comic. Still feel that like Leia needed a little bit more of a push to turn to the dark side. Like, I know you watched the whole rebellion die, all her family die, and like try to commit suicide, but like I think like I don't know. I feel like she still had a little bit of hope in her. What's your thought?
Well, I mean, yeah, but I love this addition and this twist of like all these elements from all three. No, I think they did Leia well. It kind of like I was a big Coder fan, so the whole thing just kind of felt like Bastila Shan,
Mhm.
So that was fun. But I totally bought the her turn. You know,
What else do you like about the story?
just about all of it. To be honest, Dagobah was great. Seeing Luke and Leia cut down troopers together was pretty special.
Yeah.
You know, that was pretty fun. Um, I really enjoyed seeing Luke. You know, that 5 years later, Luke that early in this. You know, that was. I remember the first time I read this. It's just like, oh, cool. So we're only at this point with the series, and you know, Luke is very serious. We don't have to deal with like, you know, a lot of the learning curves.
Yeah.
You know, because he
Yeah.
completed his training. It's like a little bit different now. You know, and I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, he walked into that room with like absolute confidence.
Yeah, Han didn't develop too far. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, enough to be great and fun and like present, but as far as character development, he didn't really go too much further than he was from like 5 years beforehand.
Well,
But I was okay with that.
we didn't get like the romance between Han and Leia. So like arguably that romance would
Yeah,
have changed him. So
yeah, it's you know, and it's all that's coming up in the next one when we get to it. You know,
yeah.
Empire Strikes Back for this. But that was like the only. I wish that we had like a little bit more um Han-centric kind of things. But besides that, like it was a really nice rendition, and I love that Tarkin's role.
Yeah.
Of all things.
Yeah, he went from being a cocky wanker to being completely muted with no
Mhm,
lines, which you know what he deserved for his arrogance. Um,
mhm.
what's your thoughts on Yoda being the one that blew up the Death Star?
Yeah, I loved all the puns that we got here, kind of, you know, the reimaginings, because Obi-Wan had been long dead,
Yeah.
so somebody had to step forward, and that was a nice way of doing it. I just really enjoyed his approach because Obi-Wan had to be sneaky, and Yoda was just like, you know, because they both broken into these kind of places before,
Yeah.
and Obi-Wan, you know, Yoda's just like with his walking stick. That was one of my favorite parts too. Like his mission wasn't some, you know, hiding around like
Yeah, going
air
through the air
vents and
vents.
stuff. It was very clear that he was there to excuse me.
Beep. Yeah.
and and he did and the focus of his mission, there was no in between, you know. And even him pausing to look at all the destruction and whatnot was great. He's like, mm-hmm. And he's just like still moving, you know, like hoofing it.
Yeah.
Um,
So
I really
true.
enjoyed all of that.
Yeah. Well, the first
And
time
and
I
they did get you for a second thinking that R2 was dead.
yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time I
They
read
did
it,
get you
I
for a
was
second.
very much like, oh,
I
R2.
know.
Like, why?
No.
So, I know I definitely wasn't expecting Yoda to do what he did. It's a pretty heavy decision to basically destroy a planet, like, and kill probably millions of people right then and there. And again, in his school, not everyone was part of the empire. Like, sure, it was in the heart of the downtown where most of the
Yeah.
senators and stuff like that, but like, there was a lot of just people who work in cafes and data crunchers and
He was like, nope, this Yoda didn't give a about any of that. He's like, it's old. Luke's done, but I don't know about him. I gotta go. I'm just gonna go do this.
yeah. Like, I got this, guys. Let me
Yeah,
take care of this.
because they really had no idea that. Well, I mean, I guess you know. Hopefully, they had the plan, but all the same, you
Yeah. Did they
have to
ever
cook everybody.
consider making these for like the prequels?
What?
These comics, like the whole what if, like ending it.
I think there is, and then there's a lot of them are as in like details.
Okay.
For the Infinity comics themselves, I don't think they formally did. I feel like I want to say that they did though. I'm just trying to figure out off the top of my head, but I know there's plenty of tales.
Yeah. I love
Infinity
that.
stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. Visions was really good.
Yes.
So-
Yes.
Mm.
Well, I'm happy we covered this. I like to expand the podcast into, into the comics as well. Not just like the books and things like that. Because again, this is just fun literature that we don't always talk about. So, and this is definitely one of those stories that people don't really talk about because why would they? It's a what if story. It's not accurate to the story we normally always go by. But I like it. I'm happy they didn't go with the original proposed version of Leia becoming the Emperor and having Luke as a lover for obvious reasons.
Hey, if it's infinities and they're not related, it's like,
But they are
whatever.
related.
Well, I mean,
No, just
pretty
no.
weird. Yeah, I don't know.
Just
I don't know. That's a little bit much of a stretch.
yeah, no,
That's a little bit much of a stretch.
just no. Hard pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I love messed up movies like Old Boy, but I wouldn't want to see that in Star Wars.
Oh my gosh. Old Boy's amazing. Which version are you talking about? The Korean one?
I like both of them. The American one was fine.
Yeah,
but like the Korean one was the best one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Josh Brolin did okay though. I have to give him that. But
yeah. That is a movie.
But I like the
haven't
original.
thought about it. Hot minute.
Yeah.
So, thank you for
Yes.
reminding me. Yeah.
Oh, you're so welcome. Now I have to watch that pretty soon.
Yeah. One of those movies you gotta be prepared
Oh yeah.
for it.
Yeah. Love it.
Well, just to wrap up this episode, let's do a little quick recap. So the tickets for Legends Con, guys, the early bird prices are coming to a close pretty soon. We still have some guests that we're going to announce up in the next couple shows. We've got 2 that are just kind of getting the contract signed. One got back to us today, so we can't officially announce that yet, but I would love to. But again, can't.
Dude.
Look, Kyle, if you want to let listeners know how to get a hold of you.
I'm a Dark Tarn on Discord and Twitter, and yeah, find me on Instagram at the same name, and left hand path 23 on Snapchat.
Awesome. I didn't know you have Snapchat. I've never done that in my entire life, and
I do not like it that much, but some people don't talk any other way now. It's 2023.
really,
I'm telling you, it's like a thing. It is just the way it is. Yeah, half my family, half my family, my nephews and nieces, like they won't talk to me unless it's through Snapchat, so I have that.
my nephews are 4 and 1, so yeah, I don't have that problem. But guys, you can always get a hold of me in general through Legends Library podcast@gmail.com or through the Facebook, Twitter, or also my personal Instagram as well, which is my full name. So thanks everyone for joining again, and stay tuned for more episodes to come. And of course, may the Force be with you. Bye. That concludes this edition of Legends Library Podcast. To join the discussion, email us at legendslibrarypodcast@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter or Discord at Legends Library. This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for informational or entertainment purposes only. Official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights to Disney and respective copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Legends Library Podcast, otherwise indicated. Legends Library. There's always a bit of truth in legends.